Welcome back to episode number 2. Unbelievable, we have an episode number 2. And in this episode, we will discuss why people fail budgeting and how you can take the control of your money. And ever wonder where your paycheck disappears every month? And do you know that 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, but you don't have to? A few years ago I had no savings, no budget, and then I made a simple change. Please do not forget to subscribe, help me to grow the channel and to support my job. Thanks. Now, why budget matters? So let's take this example that I show you in the episode number 1. Basically, imagine that you can put aside $100 a month and you can invest with 5% of annual interest over 20 years. So you do exactly the same thing for 20 years. You can take an instrument like an ETF. There are ETF like SPY or VO. Based on the annual history, they can make 9-10% a year. Here we consider an instrument that gives you 5% every year. So in dark blue, you can see the total contribution. So if you put $100 a month for 20 years, after 20 years you have almost $25,000. That is not bad, with only a small sum, because even a small sum counts. But then imagine that you invest in a simple ETF, a simple instrument, and in that case you can see in the light blue the results of your investment. You can arrive more than $40,000 with only $100 a month. Unbelievable. Now, budgeting reduces stress and gives you control. Helps you reach your financial goal faster. And avoids the problem, where did my money go? I guess this one, it's something that you have already experimented. A good budget isn't about spending less, but it's more spending smarter. Now, why people fail budgeting? Mistake number 1, they cut all fun spending. So they go from spend a lot of money to spend at zero without considering that you need to go out with friends, you need to have hobbies and so on. So you just have to plan, you just have to consider the right amount for each one of them. Now, some advice is to fix, but create a category fun money. In this fun money category, you can put basically the hobbies or the dining out or the apéro that you want to make with your friends. So at least you will not feel deprived of all the money. And then you can use an approach 80-20 and focus on big expenses. That is, 20% of big expenses are responsible of 80% of the money that you have spent. An advice, consider the budget as a financial freedom. Don't consider it as a punishment. It's a financial freedom that allows you in the future to, for instance, bring on some projects, open your activity, spend money in cultural events, or simply to improve your professionality, or simply you have money aside for retirement. Now, another error, number 2, people don't track spending. Make a budget without tracking expenses. So the issue is that you try to have this kind of budget, have more or less a pseudo control, but if you don't track all the expenses, fixed and variable, you will go nowhere. So you can use an app, you can use a spreadsheet, what you want, what is more easy for you, but use it and try to track it. Review spending weekly. Don't wait to the end of the month, because if you wait to the end of the month, maybe it's too late. Do it weekly and try to fix if something went bad. Little tip: you cannot improve what you don't track. If you want to improve, you need to track everything and you need to understand where your money goes. Another advice is to have, for instance, a simple spreadsheet. Then if you want or you prefer an application, you can take an application. But then you can just have a table where you track income and expenses. So I have a date, description, category, and then I have income and expenses. And then I have my balance. So if you can see, the income can be your salary, but can be also freelance work or some side or some kind of other kind of side work. And then your expenses are everything, for instance, for housing, for transportation, even savings. It's part of the expenses because you take a part of your income and then you put aside, maybe another bank account or in a savings account, and you have to take it out from basically the income. Then you can have also a monthly spending plan. For instance, you have a table where you have the income sources. So you put salary, side hustle, other income, and so on. Then you can have the fixed expenses. Fixed expenses is something that you know that you have to pay. Can be the rent, can be the utilities, can be the insurance, car payment. So something that it's recurring every month. But then you have also to track variable expenses. And this is where many people probably fail. So you need to budget, you need to forecast how much money you will dedicate, for instance, to groceries, to transport, dining out, shopping. So you have to do a kind of forecast, a kind of plan. Usually you have to do this kind of exercises a year in advance. But then if you start now, please do it for the current month and for the next and the next again. So in that case, what you can do, you can estimate, you can think more or less how much money you want to dedicate to grocery and so on. And you have to consider week by week if you can really respect this budgeted sum. Then you have a savings and debt repayment. So let's say that we are organizing our spreadsheet more or less like a kind of financial statement of a company. And actually, there is no such a big difference between personal finance and what is the, let's say, finance of a company. Each company does a kind of plan 1 year in advance or maybe 2 years in advance because they have to plan research and development, they have to plan expenses in general, investment, whatever. And you have to do exactly the same thing. And we are following more or less the same rule. So in this case, you will see that basically we consider an emergency fund that is really important to put aside an emergency fund month by month. We need to have investment. So one by month we have a certain amount of money. And then, okay, in this case, we have the debt payment. And then finally, we have just a summary, a table that basically collects all the data and just provide us the total income, the total expenses, fixed and variable, and the total savings and debt. And then finally, I have the remaining balance. Now, budget evolve. So basically what you have to do, you have to adjust and improve, maybe month by month. Then consider also another error, another mistake done by people. They budget only recurring monthly bills, but they forget the non-recurrent. So for this reason, we have considered a table for variable expenses. Can be the annual car insurance, can be the car repair, can be regular taxes, whatever. So you need to have also a budget that considers these kind of expenses, because in this way you will not get any surprise, and you have to do it in advance, but not 1 month. You have to do 1 year in advance, because at least, or if you start now, start to do basically the monthly plan for all the rest of the year, and put in each one of the table what are the expenses, recurrent or non recurrent, fixed, variable, that you plan to have. So create also a sinking fund for big expenses, and then put aside money monthly for annually regular expenses, because this is very important. You must be prepared in case that you have exceptional situations, or you need money for something. You don't have to ask money, or you don't have to, let's say, ask money to the bank or to an insurance, or I don't know what, and pay also interest. You need to be prepared. Now, a tip: there are no unexpected expenses. When people say, this month I have forgotten, or this month I have also this one I have not planned, and so on. Exactly, they have not planned. There are no unexpected expenses. Just you have not planned them. Start to do it now. Start to plan them for the rest of the year. Then, they don't rely on automation. They try to do everything manually instead of automating finances. The result is that at a certain point they forget to pay something. You get back then to pay maybe what you have not paid this year and the previous year, and you get also the interest to pay. For instance, if you forget to pay your credit card debt, or your credit card basically amount, you will get back to pay. And in my case, for instance, I have to pay 13% of interest. 13%, 1-3. That is really unbelievable. If you pay everything, month by month, you will avoid to do that, and you must automate. So, never forget, automate everything, and then pay attention. Pay yourself first. Save first the money for yourself, and then spend money. When you get the salary, when you have your own income, that usually is a salary, and then you go and then you spend money for a t-shirt, for a car, for a motorbike, for whatever you want, you are not paying yourself. You just have the pleasure, a superficial pleasure for something, but then the money goes to someone else. You are paying someone else. You are not paying yourself. This is a subtle difference. Try to think about it and start to pay yourself first, because you have worked for the money. Establish an habit. You must do that. And then discipline. The discipline is the ability of the mind to cope with the effort required to achieve set goals. If you don't have habit and discipline, you go nowhere. Another mistake: unrealistic expenses. I've told you that you have to budget, you have to plan, you have to forecast a certain amount of money for food, for instance. But this must be realistic. If you put 400 when actually it's 700, it's not really realistic. So what you can do, you can track 3 months. You can start with a realistic number, adjust over time, and then you can also use a 20% as a margin of safety. So if you spend, I don't know, in 3 months, you have an average of, for instance, $500, you can say, okay, let's put 600. I try to have a margin of safety, because I don't want to arrive at the end of the month with problems, with issues. And a tip: be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Most of the people lie to themselves because they want to find excuses to spend money, or because they have failed budgeting. The important thing: you must be honest to succeed. with yourself. And the last one, mistake number 6, people give up too quickly. They do it 1-2 months with the enthusiasm, or because they have bought the application, they've created the spreadsheet, whatever, and then they give up. So please, budget takes time. It's not something that you can do in 1-2 months and then it will be automatically done. You must do it month by month. You must have patience. You must establish an habit. You must have discipline. This is the only way to succeed. No one will save you. No one will save money in behalf of you. You have to do it. You must have the control on your money. And please, don't abandon. If you overspend, for instance, analyze what happened. For this reason, I told you do it week by week. Because in this case, you don't arrive at the end of the month with problem. If you do weekly, at a certain point, you can see that you have overspent, you can analyze what happened, and then you can adjust. Now, budget is an habit. It's a not one-time thing. Now, the path to financial freedom, set realistic saving goals, weekly or monthly. So if you want to obtain a financial freedom, you must consider certain kind of concept, certain kind of, let's say, basic concept. Everything must be realistic. You must have realistic goals, realistic saving goals, weekly or monthly. Use a dedicated saving account or a brokerage account to deposit money, so at least you don't have the temptation to get money, to spend money, or to say, okay, this month I have saved a certain amount of money, I've done a good work, I want to get a price, and so you try to price yourself. No, if you move money to a deposit account first, you can get some kind of interest, maybe passive. In the other case, you can have a brokerage account where you can invest your money. Now, give to your saving a clear and meaningful purpose. If you have to, let's say, you have to provide a kind of motivational spark. If you have a clear purpose in your mind, why you want to save money, it will be much easier. You can say, I want to save money for retirement. I want to save money because I want to buy an apartment. Or I want to save money for my kids. Or I want to save money because I want to open my own activity, my own business. Or simply, I need to improve my professionality. Or simply, I want to have, I want to invest because I want to have more money tomorrow. But really, try to have this motivational spark. Now, stop the famous spending spiral. People start to spend because they can do basically mortgage. They can pay a car in 3 years, 5 years. So they can do leasing. They can do all this kind of thing. So basically, if you already do this kind of thing, if you are doing this kind of thing, you are in a spiral, in a spending spiral. Stop it. Start to get the control of your money. Stop the spending spiral and start a saving spiral. That one is something that will save your future, save your financial freedom for tomorrow. And what about you? What is the biggest area where you overspend? Have you ever thought about that? Please write in the comment. And do you have a budget right now? Please write in the comment and tell me what kind of application you do, how you track it, and what you are doing ready to budget and to have a control on your financial, on your money. And if not, start now. Try to budget 1 month, 2 months, and then you will see the amazing difference that you can have. You cannot be rich if you don't control your money habits. This is very important thing. You must control money habits. You must have basically discipline. Without that, you go nowhere. Now, let's try to have a mantra. Let's try to set a mantra. Save, invest, wealth. This must be your mantra. And establish habits. It's something that takes time. It's not something that you can do in a small amount of time. It takes time, but establish habits. And finally, discipline. Self-control and determination to achieve the set goals. You must set financial goals. You must set a purpose for your saving. And you must have discipline. It's the only way. No one will save the money in behalf of you. No one will do the job for you. No one. You are the only one that should take the control on that. So, I really thank you to have followed me till now. Please write a comment if you want to see or if you want to have some new topics for the next episodes. And I wish you a really good day.